him not being present meant, although I didn't miss anything, I want to overcompensate with my kid. I absolutely love Birmingham, but I've learned a very difficult lesson that I've reached my ceiling. Yeah, I was really angry at God. During those court dates and hearings, I genuinely believed that I didn't deserve it. I wasn't myself. I kid you not, I had about 100 missed calls from my mum, my wife, my brother, and they were like, we just didn't know if you'd done something stupid.
Everyone ready? Yeah? Welcome to Conversation with Haych. What's going on, people? Welcome to Conversation with Haych. We have arguably one of the most influential people of his generation from the city of Birmingham, my hometown. The authentic, credible and consistent businessman, the CEO of Black Business Magazine, the director and CEO of the Multicultural Inspire Awards UK, and creative director of Aston Performing Arts Academy, the personal branding guru, an intentional husband, father and grandfather, continuously styling pundit, internationally recognized, nationally revered and locally loved. I present to you someone who inspires me personally, Newtown's very own Dr. Tru Powell.
Woo! I need that intro. I need that intro to send to my next speaking gig. They can say that before they bring me on stage.
How you doing, Tru?
I'm really well. Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Let's get into it. What was it like growing up with 5 brothers?
Yeah.
One sister in your household, and away from being twins, what made you and your brother stand out?
For me, growing up in Newtown and having 5 brothers and 1 sister meant that, yes, we were in poverty and yes, we didn't have, but what we lacked in resource, money, things, we certainly made up in love and happiness. Because although we didn't have, I couldn't say that my childhood was unhappy. We were still very happy with what we did have because we had lots of love. And I think growing up in those formative years, that's the most important thing.
So the singing and dancing twins.
Oh gosh, goodness me. Yes.
How do you guys get that title?
Listen, I believe that it's because we were always singing and dancing. So every opportunity that we had, we would find a stage, whether it was school, church, the local community centres, like any opportunity that we had, we would find a stage. And because there was hardly any boys growing up at that point dancing and singing, and there was hardly any twins that was doing that, it was just easier for people to call us singing and dancing twins. And I also, like, people really couldn't tell us apart because we was identical, so still are identical. So I think it was just easier for them to call us.
What was it like in terms of the black masculinity at that point? Is you play football, you either do some music, you join a gang, like something of that kind of ilk, and you weren't doing that. You and your brother weren't doing that. How did that affect you guys growing up?
Yeah, that was hard because here you have, and this isn't just in like the local surroundings, it was hypersensitive within my actual family because I had 5 brothers, 4 of which were conforming to this ideal of what masculinity is. And then extended to that, I had a plethora of cousins who pretty much were male, and they were also conforming to this idea of what masculinity is. So to step out against the grain and to say, actually, I don't want to play football. I don't want to go and, down Yellow Park and, go and chirp girls and stuff like that. That's not what I want to do at this point. What I actually want to do is art, creativity, performance. And there you have this thing, singing, dancing, drama, that is seen as less than. I wanted to actively participate in it. So what that meant was we were ridiculed. We were called every name under the sun. We didn't really have friends growing up at that point. Yes, we had family because I had no choice. But because we wasn't on what they were on, it meant that there was a disalignment with our values. And because of that, we kind of wanted to do what we wanted to do. So that was tough, but I wouldn't change it. because I think that gave us the stimulus to really focus on resilience and pushing through and staying true to yourself and authentic and doing what you want to do. And is probably the reason why it is the reason why we do things like the Aston Performing Arts Academy and so forth, because creating that safe space for Black boys and young men to actively participate in performing arts and trying to kind of change the stereotype as to what performing arts is so important to me.
How much of a safe space was having a twin brother?
That was everything. That was everything. And I can categorically say to you, if I didn't have Powell at my side, then I probably would have conformed. He was my saviour. He was my safety. He still is all of those things. Like, he was my confidant. He was the person who I knew it would be all right because he was right by my side. And I think that, for me, was absolutely everything. I probably would have conformed. I probably would have went down the other side if I didn't have him.
Aston Performing Arts Academy. How important is that for you to provide a space, not just for young men, but obviously just creators in Birmingham to come together to be a part of something like that?
Incredibly important for different reasons. And what we didn't touch upon is the financial implications of growing up in the inner city, you know, whether you're a male or a female, you know, and when we were growing up, we didn't have an affordable space to get quality teaching, you know, to network with like-minded people within the music space. And for me, that was one of the objectives for doing the Aston Performing Arts Academy, making sure that it's affordable, making sure that people can come and network with like-minded people. But also, you know, both me and my brother feel that art was our saviour. Like, we was able to express so much through art, express our joy, our disappointment, our happy times, our sad times. It was almost like a vehicle for us to share what was on our hearts and what we were feeling at the time. And I think that every child should be afforded that opportunity to express themselves, whether it's through art, through sport, or through any other medium. I feel that there is an opportunity, and this idea that boys should automatically go to sport as their expression, or boxing or rugby or this physical thing as their expression, I think is actually quite warped. And where do the boys that are not interested in that go to express themselves? So it was all of those things encompassing, like financial, expression, safe space. All of those things drive why we do what we do.
What was the reaction from the city in regards to APAA? Was it what you expected? Like, oh, we've got this thing?
No.
Okay.
No, and I'll be honest, I think APAA were different. We really disrupted the city in many different ways. And I think, yes, we were a community project, but we didn't come across as community. We were very professional in terms of like the art delivery and just the spaces that we were occupying. I mean, we were the first group to perform at Birmingham Selfridges, or the first quote unquote urban group to perform at Selfridges. Like, and when I think back, I'm like, do you know what that means?
That's
like
crazy.
That back in 29, before anybody was DJing at Selfridges or performing at Selfridges, like we made that possible. And I don't say that lightly, because on the first occasion, like 3 of our girls were sent home.
What? Hey.
Oh Lord! Like, yeah, they were sent home because we just wasn't up to par with the Selfridges standards. And actually, you know, it was very, very wrong of Selfridges, because, you know, we should have really had conversations. They just, like, how we looked just wasn't up to their standard. So we quickly learnt actually that Selfridges has a particular brand and style that they must uphold. But I say that to say we never made that mistake again. And from 29, every year since then, we were doing like 4 or 5 dates in the Selfridges. We were like their resident entertainers for Christmas. And we did that for a consecutive 10 years until COVID. So for me, I'm just like, when I think about the reaction to APAA within Birmingham, it was insane. Like, we were the most preferred entertainment supplier for a consecutive 10 years. That means that for most of the awards, gala dinners, like, they would book us, or they would at least contact us to do it. And it was up to us whether we wanted to or not. And that was a unique space to hold. And I don't think anybody else could or would or be able to hold that space. We were charging a premium for our service. And at that point, like, people didn't want to pay, but if you want us, then you'll pay for us. And yeah, it was I'm really proud of what we achieved.
When you're kind of reminiscing on it, you look off into the distance a little bit and there's a little bit of twinkle in your eye, like, this is amazing. Like, I really enjoyed this part of my life with APAA. You then stop doing APAA. Have you found that outlet again to what that was?
No, absolutely not.
And what do you do to try and get that outlet that APAA was giving you?
So this is a really difficult one. And I think, so even though APAA really kind of touched a specific protected area within myself and within my mental capacity, if you like, that missing APAA has had an impact on me mentally. Where have I found that joy? Not sure if it's been fulfilled yet. Not sure if it's been met to the point, because that, for me, APAA was always an expression. It was always a place where I would go religiously every week, every single week without fail. Don't matter like how hectic my diary was, I would always make myself back to Birmingham and be in the space where creativity was happening, where I could be free. And if anybody watching this had come to any of our rehearsals, you would know how stupid I am and how full of one, and just like you'd be like, that's the Tru on the TV, and this is it. They don't mix. But it was a safe space for us to have that freeness and to have that openness, and it hasn't been met yet. It hasn't been replaced, and I'm not quite sure it will. And don't get me wrong, like, I do lots of events, and where I have the opportunity to work with a lot of the guys from APAA, like, they will backfill and they will all rally up, and they all will come together and support on the project. But it's not quite the same as having that weekly rehearsal space.
So is there a plan to either bring APAA back, or is it where you're leaving the outlet unfulfilled for how?
Oh, no. Yes, there's definitely a plan.
Okay.
There's a plan in motion, and what's quite unique is that it's going to start working with the other businesses that I do. So it all would kind of come together and be housed under one roof.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah. There's a really good plan that we've got in motion for it.
You spoke just there about everything that you're doing coming together under one roof, and one of the things that you were known for is the MBCC. How did it feel being such a trailblazer for those awards, and what they kind of got to under your leadership?
The MBCCs for me was almost a pivotal moment in my career. Right, I came on board initially as just kind of like an event organizer, and I think this was in 2017. And I would be lying if I said that the event was good. It was okay. It was, and we're going to be honest, and we're going to keep it all the way 100.
100%.
And I think that anyone who attended that event will probably know. And look, that's also a diss on me, or a criticism on me, right? Because I was the event organizer. And I had been organising and planning events, and I had my own event management agency for years before that, and I was asked to come and organise the event and do the event. And then the founder at the time and organiser then had asked and said, "Oh, do you mind like taking this over? I've done what I need to do. I've recognised who I need to recognise, and I want you to like spearhead this and take it over." And I'm not saying anything that's not documented and out there, so it's all good. Because I don't want to get in trouble. So I did, and I like decided that I wanted to do it my way. So bringing all my team, my suppliers, APAA was heavily involved, and changed the look and feel, changed the branding, like done all the things what you see basically today for the brand, in terms of like the live music, the entertainment, the celebrities, like all of those things that make the brand into what the brand is.
Took it up a level.
And I seen that as my project. I seen it as my baby, and I seen it as something that I could really make a staple with, because I knew my ability of delivering to a high standard. And I think why I really loved the brand is because I almost seen it as working in tangent with my brand. So as my brand was growing, and my brand was like growing exponentially, my personal brand, this brand was also growing almost in tangent. And that's almost why I invested so much into it.
If you used to speak to your family and friends, what impact would they say they saw it had on you, stepping away from your baby, your project?
That's a tough one. That's a really, really tough one. And the reason why it's tough, it wasn't the act of stepping away that impacted me. I was actually quite excited about a new challenge, and yes, it's not something that I wanted to do, but in order for the brand to survive, I knew that I had to step away from it, because you can't have multiple personalities in something, because otherwise you'll kill it. But I was actually excited at the prospect of pastures new and going away and doing something. I think the impact didn't come from stepping away, but came from the aftermath of me stepping away, and people's, I guess, response to that. And I want to be very careful here, because I don't want to eradicate myself from anything, because I think it always takes two people involved to create something. But context, like not losing not just the brand, but friendships and trust that you had with somebody who you called family, was probably one of the hardest things like ever. And that kind of that was a bit too much for me to handle. Like we were friends, kids stayed at mine, we knew family members, and I remember like seeing, after it all happened, and after going to court and all of that, and seeing the other person in London actually at an event, and they were with their family, and like walking past and seeing the kids, and they were so confused as to whether to say hello or not say hello. And I have to say that was like one of the things that really kind of broke me, to a point I'm like, wow, like it's not fair on them. So yeah, that was difficult. That was a mental battle, like going through the court process, and one of the, and not being able to, and not that I wanted to either, not being able to speak about the frustrations that I had, and not be able to share like what I achieved over the 7-8 years that I was heading up this business was difficult.
How long did it take you to get back to Tru after that happened?
I don't think I've got back to the person who I was, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
And I don't think I ever will. And I think, and if anybody that's gone through litigation or court, it's a very, very like surreal experience. I mean, before that, I was like, I was a bad man. I was like, take me to, I don't care, like whatever. Like before actually going through it, I was like, I don't business, like whatever, like do you worse. But going through it and having to invest time and energy into building a case and sitting, uphold somebody, and at that time, like I had just lost my father-in-law, so my wife had lost her dad. One of my kids were just diagnosed with ADHD as well. So there was a lot that was going on within that specific fortnight, and then yet I had to go to court.
Wow.
And it was just a lot. So to answer your question, I don't think that I'll ever go back to the person before that ordeal. I think that there's a new version of me, Tru 2.0.
Come on.
And that person, Tru 2.0, is a lot more resilient, a lot more discerning. Like, I very rarely give my trust away. It's something that's earned. I'm a lot more, I wouldn't say respectful, but I'm a lot more patient with people, empathetic as well. And one of the biggest lessons which is a huge lesson, is I feel a lot more humbled.
Wow.
I feel a lot more like, no, Tru, you're not invisible, you're not indispensable. Like, you actually are human, and things can affect you to a point where you don't expect it to. And you got to think, like, before going through court, I was on this like massive trajectory. Like, the businesses were growing, my brand was growing. I was in some serious rooms. I was like rubbing shoulders with like some great celebrities and people, and like I genuinely felt like I was indestructible. So like, having to go through that process, I don't have an ego big enough to say that it wasn't a humbling process. It was a very, very humbling process to say, actually, Tru, like, you are human. And I actually believe it was God's way to say, like, slow down, be still, like, come back to me.
Is your faith affected during this time as well?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. But during that process, especially like during those court dates and hearings, I genuinely believed, and I still do believe, incidentally, that I didn't deserve it. I genuinely believed that I didn't deserve what was happening to me. I built this thing, I won't say single-handedly, but I think people who know that I had a massive part in building this thing off the ground. There was no major argument. There was no major falling out. There was no major, like, I just wanted to walk away. There was no like, when I think about it, I'm like, why would somebody want to do that to you? Like, want to bring you down, want to take you to court, want to, like, have this smear campaign against you and just almost destroy your reputation and your brand and everything that you worked for what? So I couldn't understand as to why it was happening to me, because I genuinely felt that I didn't deserve what was happening to me in any stratosphere. So yeah, I was really angry at God. I was like, why? Like, you saw me working hard. Like, even like for the first 5 years, I did this thing and didn't draw a salary from it and to build the brand. So now that I'm ready to leave, you're doing this. I couldn't understand like why it was happening.
It's unfortunate that what happened. But sometimes I believe like God wants you to be still to take it to the next level. So He doesn't want you being busy doing all these different things, because it's like, you've got too many things in your hand. I'm trying to give you something that's bigger than what you're doing and where you see yourself going. Because you're so busy, I can't give you that next step, that next stage. And I definitely feel like with you, as hard as that time would be, as you've already said, you're now at Tru 2.0, more resilient, understanding your mortality, not just as a human being, but in this business space, in that space, in that event space, there is a mortality to Tru, which there probably wasn't before.
Yeah, and it just kind of almost goes back to your point around like how the family was, and I just remember like in the summer of last year, I was horrible. Like, I wasn't myself. I lost confidence, and I wasn't really networking or going out. Like, I was saying no to everything. The businesses were affected. Like, just to put things in context, like with everything that happened, I think I must have lost like 100K last year. Like, it was from paying legal fees to settlements to like not working to like not speaking, because I just wasn't, my mind wasn't there. Like it just wasn't there, and I kept questioning why this was happening to me. And I think, and this kind of almost makes me quite upset actually, because my family kind of saw that, and they got together, and my wife, she's amazing, and my brother, who's also amazing, and I remember having a piece of news from one of my major supporters clients, that said that they wasn't going to support a project that I was doing, who always supports me in everything that I do. And in my mind I was like, it's because of that, like my brand has been tarnished. And I remember like speaking to my brother and my wife and just saying like, I'm really upset. Like I was so upset on that day. I was crying, and I was in London, and I just got the news, and I was so upset. And then I had to go and do the tube, and I think I was under there for about half an hour. When I got back from the tube, and I got signal, I kid you not, I had about 100 missed calls from my mom, my wife, my brother, and they were like, we just didn't know if you'd done something stupid. And at that point, like both of them was like, no, you need to sort yourself out. So they booked me a weekend away at a kind of like spa alone. And it was just like, don't take your phone, like lock off socials, go there and pray, fast, and try and get back to some normality, because we can't think that that you could do something to hurt yourself. It's too much for us. So at that point, I was like, okay, cool. Like, we need to do something about this. So I did, and I sat still, and I prayed, and I fasted, and prayed again, and just kept asking God, like, reveal, what is this all about? Like, why have you stopped me from doing this, but done it in a way where I feel like I don't want to do anything. I want to go back to work. I want to give up business, like full stop. And I guess that stillness helped birth the new kind of like business model for Inspire, which I'm so grateful for.
Let's talk about Inspire.
Mm.
What does that look like for you?
It looks like growth, and it looks like the reason to why I had to go through the darkness. To summarize it in a way, is we're franchising the model, which means that the Inspire Awards will be a brand and a franchise that even more people will be recognised and celebrated, but under the Inspire brand. For me, that's huge growth. When I was going through whatever I was going through last year, so many people, well, that's a bit of a hyperbole, but a few people came to me and was like, they want help and support with getting their awards off the ground. They want to do something similar to the previous award that I did. And at that point, I was like, I'm not interested in doing any awards at all. But there was at least 3 different people from different sectors. So that was part of my prayer. That was like, well, here you are, God. And I used to say this every night. Here you are telling me that I can't do an award, and I couldn't physically do an award ceremony or be involved in any way, shape or form in an award ceremony. But then you're sending people to me who are asking me for my help and asking me for guidance. Like, what are you trying to do here? Like, where are we going with this? Like, why couldn't you do this last year? And I think those people were dropping small kind of hints to say, actually, you need to build a model that we can take, replicate, and deliver out to our sectors. Hence why next year, 2026, early next year, you'll have the Hearing Impaired Inspire Awards. Wow. You'll have the Gen Z Inspire Awards, and you'll have the Manchester Inspire Awards, which would all be celebrating inspirational people in that location or specific cities. And then 2027, we'll have 10 more Inspire Awards, whether it's the Podcast Inspire Awards, whether it's the London Inspire Awards, Dubai Inspire Awards, which we're almost close in signing. They need to hurry up. And for me, that's what this was all about. That's what going through the storm was all about. Like, I'm not just going to give you one award ceremony, because that's not, you didn't go through that just to come out with one award ceremony that you would do effortlessly, like, because that would be amazing in and of itself. But actually, I'm going to allow you to build a platform where even more people from underrepresented communities will be celebrated and championed. But it's going to be under your brand and under your guidance and under your operational systems. Hence why we'll have the franchise. And it's going to be almost like a TEDx. Right?
Yeah.
So, you've got TEDx all around.
Yeah.
But that's what the Inspire Awards will be.
So,
and that's quite an exclusive, because I haven't verbalized or spoke about this anywhere.
How did that feel, just saying all of that? Because to me, that sounds amazing. But for you, who's gone through all of this, how did it feel saying that out loud?
It felt edifying. It felt like I've released like a big weight that was on my shoulders. But it also felt like it was worth it. Like, what I went through was worth all of that, like, stress and strife and struggle. And I've spoken to and shared the deck with quite a few people in my network who are incredible at what they do, and who are just incredible business moguls. And every single person who I've shared it with, and they don't gas me, like, they tell me the truth. Like, one of them was like, "True, this deck is littered with spelling mistakes." I thought, "Oh God, let me go and fix it."
But that's what you need.
But that's the type of people who I'm around, and they tell me the truth and what I need. So, but they've all said the potential and the opportunity, and it's actually a scalable business. Whereas before, one award isn't, like, you can only get you so far.
Yep.
Like, you can only make so much. But this is actually a scalable business, and one that will combine your business acumen with your love for awards and your love for entertainment all in one.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you spoke about how it's all in these different locations up until 2026, 2027. So when I kind of look at your story, I think with everything that you've achieved, do you feel like you've reached the ceiling in Brom?
Yeah. Yes, just getting started. In Birmingham, yeah. And it's not because I don't love Birmingham. I absolutely love Birmingham. But I've learned a very difficult lesson that, for me, I've reached my ceiling. And that's not to say that people don't, like, elevate in Brum and operate on extreme levels, because, right, look at Ben Francis and all these incredible entrepreneurs, and Ben Amanis from the Midlands, and just different people who are operating at an elite level, who have achieved from Birmingham. So that's not to say that you can't achieve from Birmingham, but I think for me and for what I'm doing, especially with this franchise, I 1000% believe that Birmingham's not the right space for me to drive it through. So I've probably got a few more years here.
And then you've gone to London.
Or Dubai.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that's also because I feel like the UK is doomed. Like, I feel like the struggle will still be real in London. I feel like I need to avoid this tax, and it would be so much easier to build a successful business minus the tax than to try and build a successful business and get it over a threshold that I need it to be at, if I have to really constantly think about the tax man.
What advice then do you give to someone who is from Birmingham, who is trying to achieve, who is trying to, do things to an elite level? What advice would you give to them, considering what you?
I would say, don't be like me, and I'll be real. Don't be like me and only see the Birmingham borough. Because for many years, that's what I did. And even though I'm not out of Birmingham, my eyes are open now to other possibilities outside of Birmingham.
Yeah.
Before, you couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I would not be moving anywhere. Like, this was my hometown, and I wanted to break through in Birmingham, and I wanted to build and make sure that, Birmingham was always set. But guess what? Like, I'll always fly the Birmingham flag, no matter where I am in the world. I'll always still be from Birmingham. it doesn't necessarily mean that I have to stay here, I have to live here, and I have to work here.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that I need to be in the sun. Like I need a better way of life for the kids, and like a better way of living for the kids, and I need to open up my eyes to different possibilities. And those possibilities, sadly, are not going to be in Birmingham.
You spoke about your kids there, which kind of segues nicely into this next section, which is about you being a father and being the kind of the head of your household. Have you become the father that you wanted when you were younger to your kids now?
I would say no.
Okay.
And that might sound weird, but when I was growing up, and I didn't, you know, I didn't have a daddy in my life growing up. My mum was a single parent. But this is how jacked up the world is, right? Like we were normalizing thinking that having a single parent was normal. So I didn't miss it. I didn't miss like my dad not being present.
Because you didn't know.
Because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And I say that to say, like, it wasn't just in my household, it was echoed across the area that was growing up, school peers, some of my family. Like, it was very, very normal for there to be a single parent in the inner city. And we didn't have social media back then. Like, we'd be lucky to just have 1 to 5 channels on TV.
Yep.
Like, well, 1 to 4 back then. Like, we didn't really listen to, so we didn't have any other representation other than like magazines and stuff like that. So for me, I was like, oh, I didn't miss not having a dad. So only late in your later years, like, you start to think, oh, actually, I could have done with my dad for this, or I could have done with my dad for that. But him not being present meant that although I didn't miss anything, I'm going to overcompensate with my kids. So I'm overly present to the point now where there's like, Dad, you don't need to call me every 10 minutes. Like, yeah, but I just want to know what's going on. And I think that, for me, that was the biggest impact of me and how I parent my kids. Him being absent means that I'm overly present. But the two things could be true at once. It's not because I felt like something was missing. It's because I'm actually thinking, I don't want them to ever think that I wasn't there in the way that my dad wasn't there for me.
From social media, it very much seems like, and it looks like from the outside looking in, that you do as best a job as possible to father your children, to put them in positions to achieve, to give them a foundation that they can build upon, that not only your children, but your children's children can live off. And I think it's important from a father to another father, from what I see of what you're doing, to say, you are doing a great job.
Wow.
You are doing a great job, considering it's not something you experienced. You are doing a great job. Sometimes, obviously, as fathers, we don't always get it right. But I think in just seeing, people have seen everything with Usher and what you did for your son. You look at your daughter who has her podcast and all these different kind of elements of your children who, you try to send them to the best schools and, you make sure that mentally they're right with, giving them therapy and stuff like that. And I think that speaks to you as a human being, making sure that your children are in the best position possible. So I want to say you are doing an amazing job.
Thank you. And you know why that hits? Because a lot of the times when you're in the trenches of being a parent and being a father, you often feel guilty. You often feel that you're getting it wrong. You often feel that, you're not doing the best. And I was saying this to Tara the other day. I was like, the reason why for me the Usher thing was so, like, such a timely event was because up until that day and a few months before that, like, I felt like I was failing the kids.
Wow.
I honestly felt like I wasn't there enough. I felt like I was working massively hard up and down here, there and everywhere. But also felt like with one of them in particular that we was just butting heads constantly. He's a teen, he's going through his stuff, and we was just constantly butting heads. And so having that and having people like comment and message me saying, this is amazing parenting. And then having Usher himself saying, you guys are amazing parents. Like, was almost a relief and almost like, okay, we're not all bad. Well, I'm not all bad. Let me speak for myself here. I'm not all bad. So I appreciate kind of like what you've just said, and because yeah, it's definitely a difficult task.
How do you prioritize family and business, and you being here, there, and everywhere, as well as giving them the best of you?
Tough. But there's no short and sweet answer. I just have to do what my heart feels at the time, and I get convicted in different ways. Like the other week, my son came to me and said, "Oh, I really want you to take me here," and I had a meeting, and he was like, "I really need you to take me." I'm like, "Okay, cool. Let me drop this and take him," because he doesn't often ask like that. So it just depends on like what the circumstances is, and I get convicted in like in different ways with what different people say. My daughter would call me, she works, and she'll be saying, "Oh, I finish at 11, could you come and get me?" And if I can, then I'll be like, "Okay, cool, let me go and get you." But it's one of those things that I don't think I'll ever find a happy place with, because work is a priority, and it has to be because it keeps the roof over the head. But then so is my kids a priority, and so is the family and family time. So it's about trying to balance the two. It's hard because we've and they've got accustomed to a lifestyle. I've got accustomed to a lifestyle, and in order to get that lifestyle, we have to work. And it's interesting because I was trying to explain to them like just the other week, and I was saying to them, as much as we don't like often like me working and me up and down, it's important that you understand why. And Cindy, who's the eldest now, and she was just saying to the kids, Dad used to take me to all these meetings when I was like 12 and 11, and I used to watch him network and stuff like that, and he used to graft, and I didn't really get it then, but now being in the world, and I totally understand like why you had to do it and so forth. So you hope and pray that they see the sacrifices that you make, even sacrifices away from them, and they also make sacrifices because they have to sacrifice their dad, and so any celebration that I have, any event that I have that where I can bring them along, I want to take them so they can see their sacrifices, so we can thank them also, because they're giving their dad and their husband for the rest of the world to use and to utilize, and they're sacrificing. So yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one that I don't think that I'll ever crack, and I don't think everyone would ever be 100% happy, but we're coasting and making it work.
My last question to you is, with where you're at in life right now, considering everything, what encouragement would you give to yourself?
It would be just remember who you are, and God didn't bring you this far to leave you, in the words of Mary. And remember your lineage, what you come from, what you stand for, what you've overcome. And from I remember that, and from I know who I am, and remember who I am, and remember where I've come from, I think I'll always continue to strive for excellence. I think when I look back over my career, and not just my career, but just the achievements and lumping, grouping up family in that, and just what I've achieved over the 40 years that I've been on this planet. It hasn't been easy. Like, it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been a walk in the park. Wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and everything that I've done and have achieved is because I've worked really hard at it, and for the most part overcome adversity. So for me, it's just, this isn't an invitation to the devil, but it's almost saying to the devil, like, do your best, do your worst. Like, I know who I am, and I know who stands before me. I know who upholds me, who lifts me. So yeah, that will be the call to myself.
Tru, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it. Dr. Tru Powell, this has been Conversation with Haych. Hope you've enjoyed this conversation, and we'll have much more coming for you very, very soon.